If you own a Lake Palestine property you're thinking of selling, you are standing at a highly expensive fork in the road. You can spend thousands of dollars and months of your time renovating the home to a modern standard, or you can list it immediately, as is, and let the buyer handle the work. Many sellers assume they have to choose between two extremes. They either sink capital into over-improving the wrong features and never recoup their investment, or they list a broken home with an overly optimistic price tag and watch qualified buyers consistently walk away. This indecision is fueled by the HGTV myth. Sellers watch renovation shows and internalize the idea that a full kitchen gut or luxury bathroom remodel is required for a premium sale price. But the East Texas waterfront market operates on entirely different math. On Lake Palestine, contracts do not fall apart over a dated Formica countertop. Those deals are killed by rotten dock pilings, hidden structural boathouse flaws, and severe insurance liabilities that blindside buyers during the inspection period. We see three distinct profiles facing this problem. There is the remote heir bleeding carrying costs on an inherited family cabin. There is the aspirational seller trying to optimize the property for a top-of-market return. And there is the pragmatic seller who simply wants to exit, completely unaware of the local defects that will terminate their contract. The stakes here are measured in time as much as dollars. From contractor assessment to final execution, completing even modest structural repairs on a waterfront property takes 3 to 5 months. That is time spent paying taxes and insurance before the home ever hits the open market. We are going to strip away the cosmetic myths of residential real estate. We will map exactly how buyers evaluate East Texas waterfronts and pinpoint precisely where pre-listing dollars actually generate a return on Lake Palestine. In waterfront real estate, the wrong renovation choice is twice as expensive. It depresses your final sale price while burying you in months of carrying costs and inspection failures that strip away your negotiation leverage. To understand where to spend your money, you have to understand who is actually buying. Your target demographic is the Dallas-Fort Worth weekender. They are currently cross-shopping Lake Palestine against similar properties on Cedar Creek Lake, and they evaluate homes through a very specific lens. That mental checklist starts entirely at the water's edge. Before they care about your flooring, they need to know if they can safely launch a boat. They check if the boathouse lifts are operational, and they test whether the dock railings are secure enough for their children. This quadrant chart visualizes the effort versus bill-saving impact of pre-listing investments. It mathematically separates the improvements that save contracts from the ones that waste your money. Notice where dock electrical remediation and GFCI compliance land. Upgrading unsafe walking surfaces and fixing electrical faults are relatively low-cost fixes that carry massive impact. They remove buyer fear, ensure mortgage financing goes through, and move your property from a daunting project to a highly desirable, family-ready weekend home. Compare that to a full luxury kitchen gut. Pouring capital into high-end interior finishes while ignoring a failing bulkhead creates appraisal friction. If the neighboring waterfront sales don't support your inflated price, the bank won't finance it, and you yield a negative return on investment. Aesthetic interior updates are only viable under strict conditions. If your property is in the sub-$500,000 price band, a neutral refresh, like fresh paint and updated fixtures, can improve online presentation, but that money should only be spent after the shoreline and dock are structurally secure. A DFW buyer will consistently make offers on a dated interior attached to a safe, highly functional dock. They will consistently walk away from a beautifully renovated luxury kitchen attached to a hazardous, eroding shoreline. For sellers without the time or capital to fix the dock, the default strategy is to sell the property as is. But many sellers mistakenly treat the as-is label as a pass to skip the pre-listing effort entirely. Treating a listing this way leads directly to the single most common deal failure pattern on East Texas lakes. A seller lists an uninspected, overpriced property, secures a buyer, and then suffers a brutal contract termination during the option period when the true condition is revealed. These deals collapse over a specific set of physical defects. Buyers bring in inspectors who uncover hidden structural failures in the boathouse pilings, failing septic systems, or invisible shoreline erosion that will cost tens of thousands of dollars to stabilize. Then there is the paperwork trap, the Special Flood Hazard Area, or SFHA designation. An SFHA is a map classification established by FEMA, indicating a high risk of flooding for a specific parcel of land. If a buyer discovers your property carries an SFHA designation late in the transaction, federal law mandates they purchase specific flood insurance for their mortgage. That unexpected hefty premium spike alters their qualifying debt-to-income ratio and frequently derails their financing entirely. A true strategic as-is sale requires rigorous upfront work. You must conduct a pre-listing dock inspection, verify your exact flood zone status with an elevation certificate, and price the home at a number that mathematically absorbs those documented defects. By identifying these issues early and presenting them clearly to the buyer, you strip away their negotiation leverage. They cannot demand massive price reductions during the option period for defects you already disclosed and priced into the initial contract. Selling as is a highly effective way to secure a fast closing, provided you are completely transparent with the property's data rather than blind to its flaws. This transparency is especially crucial for families holding inherited or legacy properties. Often, multiple heirs enter a state of decision paralysis, operating under the assumption that waiting to sell or slowly planning a renovation has no penalty. That assumption ignores the invisible carrying cost equation. Holding a waterfront property silently erodes your potential equity month over month, effectively charging you a fee for your indecision. This vertical bar chart represents a typical $400,000 Lake Palestine property to illustrate these baseline holding costs. Before any maintenance occurs, you face Smith County's combined effective property tax rate, which generally lands between 2 and 3%, depending on overlapping municipal and school district levies. Next, you add the compounding expenses, mandatory flood insurance premiums, high property owner association transfer fees, and monthly dues quickly stack up. On a $400,000 home, you are looking at an $8,000 to $12,000 annual burn rate just for the privilege of holding the deed. These fixed costs interact aggressively with the physical reality of an aging home. A roof approaching the end of its lifespan, or a dock suffering from delayed maintenance, compounds the financial damage, driving the net proceeds line sharply downward the longer the property sits. When multiple heirs have divergent opinions regarding the asking price or the renovation strategy, this expensive holding period extends indefinitely. Contrast this slow financial bleed with a smartly priced immediate market exit. A property accurately calibrated for its condition typically spends 30 to 60 days on the market, cutting off the carrying costs and delivering liquid capital. For inherited properties with limited family usage, the mathematical cost of waiting to optimize the sale almost always consumes the eventual profit margin. Navigating these choices comes down to one overarching principle for Lake Palestine real estate. Sellers recoup their money most reliably when they remove buyer risk, not when they attempt to add buyer aspiration. This decision tree maps the two viable paths. Path A is the strategic hold and fix. If your dock is structurally sound, you have the capital, and are seeking maximum value, you execute a neutral interior refresh and ensure full dock safety. Path A is for sellers competing with newer inventory, who have time to secure their shoreline. Path B is the strategic as-is. For remote owners of inherited properties with high costs, your best option: secure inspections, verify flood zones, and price accurately. Path B is the mathematical imperative for absentee owners bleeding 3% annually in property taxes who cannot manage a team of contractors from a distance. But the final variable disrupts any generalized advice. Every single lot on Lake Palestine is completely and entirely unique. Variables like specific water depth, exact flood zone boundaries, and hyperlocal neighborhood price ceilings completely alter your math. A generic online home value calculator or a standard residential real estate agent cannot accurately run this waterfront equation. They will miss the nuances that cause deals to fail. You need an East Texas waterfront specialist. You need someone who deeply understands water rights, local bulkhead requirements, and the intricacies of luxury lakefront marketing. Stop guessing at your property's value and start managing your equity. Get the honest math on your specific lot by calling Marti today and navigate your Lake Palestine sale with absolute confidence.